Greetings, YouTube. The doctor is in. Dr. Urias Papers here, coming at you with another commentary on Dungeons and Dragons. And welcome to the channel that takes power gaming to the next level. Today on the Doctor's Spell Prognosis, we're going to talk about the spell Wall of Ice. We're giving this one a B+. But first, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you have any questions or comments, please leave a question or comment. And don't forget to hit that notification bell. All right. So, Wall of Ice is a 6th level spell that is only usable by wizards. However, a bard can pick it up at 14th level with magical secrets. We're giving this one a B+. There's some table variation that can happen with this. I'm going to explain what that is. It's a pretty good spell. It's a pretty good control spell. It does some decent damage. We're going to look at the damage compared to a few other things. But let's get into the spell first. So it's a 6th level spell usable by wizards. It takes one action, has a range of 120 feet, which is a great range. Verbal, somatic, and material component. Material component is worthless, so we don't care about that. It lasts for 10 minutes and requires concentration. And yes, you do want to concentrate on this. It is an evocation spell. But, the sculpt spell doesn't necessarily... It could work with this, because it is an area of effect, but I would say probably not. But divination wizards might get something better from this because they can get that initial save to fail. But, so you create a wall of ice on a solid surface within range. So it's got to be on a solid surface. You can form it into a hemispherical dome or a sphere with a radius up to 10 feet. So I want to point something out. A dome, a hemispherical dome, has a roof, and it comes down and it touches the ground, and it ends there. So it traps everything inside. A sphere, however, is a complete round object, and that's important because a sphere can be rolled, okay? So the hemisphere or the sphere has a radius up to 10 feet, and you can shape a flat surface made up to 10 10-foot square panels. Each panel must be contiguous with the another, which means they have to touch. In any form, the wall is 1 foot thick and lasts for the duration. If the wall cuts through a creature's space when it appears, the creature within its area is pushed to one side of the wall and must make a dexterity saving throw. On a failed save, the creature takes 10d6 damage, cold damage, or half as much on a successful save. It's pushed to either side one way or the other. It's pushed to one side of the wall one way or the other. And regardless of whether it makes it save or not, okay? So on a failed save, it's going to take an average of 35 points of damage, or half of that, which is 17. All right, so if you form a sphere around a creature, then the bottom of that sphere is probably going to take up a 5-foot space. So you're going to be able to more than likely just grab one creature, which it's cutting through its space, and it has to appear on one side of the wall. Well, there's only one side that it can appear on because it can't go through the ground, and that is inside the sphere, which can then be rolled around. So, and it's going to take damage. It's going to take cold damage regardless of whether it makes it save or not, but it's going to be inside that sphere. The other issue with this, let's go through the rest of the spell first. So the wall is an object that can be damaged and thus breached. It has an armor class of 12 and 30 hit points per 10-foot section. So it's easy to get out of. It doesn't take a lot to do damage. And is vulnerable to fire. So it takes twice as much damage from fire. Reducing a 10-foot section of a wall to 0 hit points destroys it and leaves behind a sheet of frigid air in the space the wall occupied. It doesn't say that it goes away. It just says it leaves it behind, which means that frigid air is there as long as you're concentrating on the spell, or 10 minutes goes by, or whatever happens first. A creature moving through the sheet of frigid air for the first time on a turn, not first time on their turn, first time on a turn, must make a Constitution saving throw. That creature takes 5d6 cold damage on a failed save or half as much on a successful save. So 5d6 cold damage on average is 17.5 points. It's half of what the 10d6 is, or 8 points if they make their save. Now, Constitution saves are pretty easy to make, so that's not a consideration. And then you can upcast this spell for an extra 2d6. So if you cast it as a 7th level spell, it'll do 12d6 and 6d6 for the frigid air. So here's the table variation part of this. Ice can be opaque and often is opaque. This is 1 foot thick ice, so it's 12 inches thick. There is some ice that is somewhat transparent. I wouldn't say a 1 foot thick piece of ice is transparent. If you put your face up to it, you're not going to be able to see through it very easily because of all the warping. So I would say, I would say that it's probably opaque. But again, that's going to be up to your dungeon master when you sit down at the table with them, so you need to work that out with them. If it's opaque, then they're stuck in it. They can't see out of it. They can't cast any spells that require them to see, and they can't cast Misty Step to get out. So Dimension Door is always an option of getting out of a wall of ice or to the other side of a wall. But Misty Step, you have to be able to see where you're going. And I believe there's some other spells like Thunder Step that also require that as well. So there is that. And this particular part here, where the frigid air is left behind, it doesn't say that frigid air goes away. It says a creature, it says it leaves behind a sheet of frigid air in the space the wall occupied. So it's there until you stop concentrating. And that frigid air is going to do damage every time a creature, the first time a creature goes into it on a turn. So they're going to destroy it. Then a creature is going to probably try and get out. They're going to take damage. And now there's a hole that's filled with frigid air. So let's talk about this spell here, Eldritch Blast, and the Warlock. So there are two things the Warlock can do with this. They can force the creature to come out and through it by using Grasp of Hadar on an Eldritch Blast. And remember, an Eldritch Blast has a range of 120 feet. And they could pull them out of the sphere. And so once on each of your turns when you hit a creature with an Eldritch Blast, you can move that creature in a straight line 10 feet closer to you. Then when you hit a creature with Eldritch Blast with Repelling Blast, you can push it 10 feet away. You can. You don't have to. You can. So here's what you do. If you got a Warlock who has Repelling Blast and Grasp of Hadar. So you need to work this out with your party beforehand. But if you have that Warlock who can do that, then they're going to first Eldritch Blast, because at this level they're going to have at least 3 Eldritch Blasts. First Eldritch Blast is Grasp of Hadar. You pull the creature out, and then it's going to take damage. And in subsequent turns, you can push it back in. You can't do this on the same turn because it can only take it once on the first time on a turn. So, but you can move that person. You can move that person back in or that creature back in on subsequent turns with Repelling Blast, and then you can pull them back out again, or they're going to have to walk back out, and you're going to move them back and forth in there, and they're going to be taking this 5d6 damage a lot. Fighter can do push attack. Anybody can do like a push to get them in. There's plenty of feats that can do this, like the Crusher feat can push them back in. This is another one of these spells that you can... This is another one of these spells that you can take advantage of the ability to use controlled movement. So I think that's one of the reasons why I'm giving it a B+. It's only usable by wizards, so there is that. All right. That is what I have for everybody today. I appreciate everybody tuning in, and I will catch everybody later.